All right, how's it going, everyone? My name is Ivan Collins. I'm your gracious host for this episode of AV Experts Podcast. Again, thank you guys for joining me for another episode of AV Experts Podcast. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to, give us your ear and to learn about some really awesome products. Um, Once again, before we get down to it, well, first off, we got a great show today. We have a really, how do we say this? A very smart group of people who are here to discuss a product that is really in its own lane in terms of the features. And I think we're going to also be able to get to see some of those features working because they're in one of their demo rooms today, so it's going to be great. But before we get to that, let's take care of some of the formalities. This episode of AV Experts Podcast is brought to you by InnoFace Systems. InnoFace Systems provides state-of-the-art audiovisual solutions for government, commercial, and residential clientele. Give InnoFace Systems a call for all of your government and corporate and residential needs. We can be reached at 877-721-4040. Again, that number is 877-721-4040. Also, check us out on the web at www.innofacesystems.com. It's INNOFACE systems.com. So without further ado, let's get to it. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the group from Huddly. Huddly provides state-of-the-art camera systems for corporate environments, and they're here today to discuss some of their products that they're coming to market with and that they currently already have in the market. It's doing very well. Huddly, we have Miss Kayla Payne from Huddly and Mr. Eben. What was your last name, Eben? I'm sorry.
Eben Thomas.
Evan Thomas.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, Evan Thomas here from Huddly. So guys, feel free to introduce yourselves to our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ivan, so much. We're super excited to be able to do this with you. And my name is Kayla Payne. I am Huddly's channel marketing executive. So I've been with Huddly for about 1.5 years now. And I really just handle anything marketing related for the Americas. So from distribution to reseller partners and users, digital marketing, kind of handle it all. But like I said, super excited to be here and talk to you today.
Nice. Very cool. Go ahead, Evan.
Awesome. So thank you, Ivan, for inviting us. We are so excited to be here. My name is Eben Thomas. I'm the sales engineer for the Americas. So anything pre-sales, post-sales, technical related, it kind of comes through me. I've been with Huddly for 8 months now. Prior to this, I was with Crestron. So.
Yeah. Nice. Good deal. Awesome. We're glad to have you both on the show. And again, thank you for your time. And very, very excited to talk about some Huddly stuff here. So before we dig into it, can you just break down what exactly is Huddly? How did the company kind of come about? Just give us a little bit of backstory on, how Huddly came about.
Yeah, so Huddly's roots really go back to the Tandberg days. And for those who don't know who Tandberg is, they were this industry leader in the video conferencing space based out of what they now call Video Valley, which is also located in Oslo, Norway.
Wow.
So fast forward to 2010, Cisco purchased Tandberg. And that was really the start of Cisco's video conferencing and teleconferencing practice with Spark, and then which is now WebEx. And that's when they really started to reinvent this collaboration experience. So some of the Tandberg engineers stayed at Cisco for a little bit, went through the transition, but then after a few years went on to start their own companies. So a lot of new video tech companies were founded by ex-Tandberg employees in Norway, including Pexip and Videxio, and Huddly is one of them as well. So our founder, Stein Ove, pretty much brought a crew of engineers with him from their Tandberg and Cisco days and started Huddly back in 2013.
Nice.
So that would make it 9 years this year. So that's kind of the background and where, Huddly started from. And now looking at it, it's really this, I would want to say, and Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, but almost like a software first company to where not only our hardware is very high quality, top of the line, but everything is software first. So we are able to constantly make these products better through the Huddly app, which would be just downloaded on your PC or whatever. But to make sure that it constantly gets better over time. And so between very high quality hardware, software, and then AI, we've created these now 6 different video cameras to go to market with.
Wow, 6 cameras. All
I
right.
know.
So this is great. Now this is exciting. So I've done a little bit of research, and I haven't personally had the opportunity to integrate a Huddly camera, but I did meet Evan at a show, and I was able to kind of see it working, and I was blown away with the technology, especially like for the corporate setting and how the camera has the ability to kind of navigate the room on its own. Can you guys break down like exactly what are the features of the Huddly cameras that kind of make it stand out in this market?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that, when we talk about Hudley's vision, right? We all know that hybrid work is here to stay, right?
Absolutely.
Some people are coming into the office, some people are remote. So at Huddly, what we are trying to solve is making sure that, meetings are engaging, people are able to collaborate properly. And one of the things that we look at is social cues, right? Obviously, in person, it is so much better to interact with somebody, right?
Yeah.
So what we try to do is bring experiences into the market where those social cues are really identified. And one such experience is a gallery view, right? You guys can see me right now. I'm in the demo space. I'm using one of our cameras right here. And the tendency of the camera is, because it's got a lot of artificial intelligence built into the camera. Nice. It identifies the whole space and it looks at the people in the space. So the camera can distinguish between, a laptop and a person, right?
Oh man.
Yeah. So there's a lot of algorithm that's going on, machine learning, neural networks that is happening in the background. And it knows exactly where the person is, and it accordingly frames the person. So I can show you an example if you don't mind, right?
Please, yes.
Right now I'm at about, 16 feet away from the camera, right in front. So the camera just identifies that the person is there. I don't have to do anything. It just automatically looks into me, right? And let's say there is, people are walking around the space. I'm going to go to the center of the table. You'll notice that I'm outside the frame, but the camera knows that I'm right here and it's going to shift to me. See that?
Oh, wow. I love that.
So the camera looks at an actual person. It looks at my face, it looks at my torso, because we've also got the question on what about masks, right? How does the camera know the difference? So we know that the camera knows that it is an actual person and it follows. So that's one experience, and we call it genius framing, right?
Wow.
It's a pretty exciting experience we have in the camera, and you don't have to even do anything. When you purchase our cameras, once you plug it in, it's an automatic experience.
That's amazing.
And this is something too where we're really starting to see larger companies more interested in wanting to move away from PTZ cameras, because our cameras are digital PTZ. So with this, as you can see right there, nobody is having to do anything. And so people are now interested in trying out cameras like this Huddly L1 because it's a little bit more discreet and there's no moving parts to break or cause like any kind of uncomfortable distractions. So it's been really interesting lately to see people thinking about that switch.
I am impressed. That is great. Now, Evan, I noticed that your video quality is very good. I mean, am I looking at like 1080 or 4K? What am I looking at?
Yeah, so the sensor on this camera, this camera is meant for large spaces. So the sensor is a 6K sensor, and the output is 1080p. That's correct.
Wow.
And this camera is meant for rooms up to 33 feet deep.
Now,
so
which camera is that? The L1? Which camera is it?
Exactly. It's the L1 camera. So a quick way to remember, L for large, right? Large rooms.
Yeah. Got it. No, that's great. So Tell me, how does the camera connect to a system? Does it have like HDMI outputs? Are we USB, SDI, HD? How are we outputting this video to the source?
Yeah, so we do have USB cameras,
Okay.
and we also have networkable cameras, right?
Mm.
And so the L1 camera is networkable. So the way you would connect the pieces from the camera, it's an RJ45 cable, just your regular Cat5e cable.
Yes.
Connects to a USB PoE adapter. And we include it because one of the major questions we get is how do you extend the camera?
Yeah.
You know what? We take that piece out of the puzzle, we include the box along with it, right?
Nice.
So you would just connect the camera, RJ45 to a USB PoE adapter, and from the back of it, it's a USB-C.
Nice. So what kind of distance can we get with that connection from the camera over to the PoE injector / USB converter?
330 feet, your standard Cat5 distances.
How many feet?
330.
330. Wow.
Yep.
No, that's great. That's great. So would you happen to have a L1 that we could see?
I did not have a piece of that. It's already been installed under the table.
No worries. Yeah, no worries. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll include a link to,
Okay.
so people can take a look as they see the show here.
Absolutely.
No, that's really great. What kind of environment is this camera meant for? Are we talking auditorium? Are we talking conference room, training room? Like, where is there a niche environment that you guys are kind of making this device for?
Yeah, so primarily it would be for the conference spaces. So if you're looking at mediums are around 20 feet deep rooms, up to 33 feet deep rooms.
Yes.
Conference room is a primary focus, but we've seen people use it in classrooms as well, right? If you're looking for, the audience and the instructor, maybe we need a camera that shoots the whole space. We've seen people use that. We've seen people install it on top of the ceiling because all our cameras have a 1/4-inch standard screw, so you can link it with any tripod that you have or a ceiling mount pole. So people use it in different cases, but conference room has been the primary. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, as you stand there, I'm noticing an apparatus behind you that looks very interesting on the wall.
Yes.
Is that a Huddly product as well? What exactly am I looking at?
Absolutely, man. So that is called the Huddly canvas, right? What we are seeing in many of the meeting spaces is we have the front of room camera, but at the same time, they also have a whiteboard, right? And whiteboarding is so important, especially with collaboration. People still love to use these things, right?
Yes.
So the question is, how do you get the whiteboard into your meeting? And that's where the canvas comes in, right? So if you notice, the canvas, actually I'm a little too far, but the canvas shoots onto the whiteboard.
Okay.
So we are looking at a 6 feet by 4 feet whiteboard, and whatever you write is going to be sent to the far end. So I could probably show you guys a demo if you're interested.
Absolutely. I want to see that work if possible. That sounds extremely exciting.
So I'm just going to share the canvas, which I have right now, right? You're going to see a whiteboard basically. And as I'm stepping forward, you can see I'm writing on the whiteboard. You can see it up here on the far end. And notice I'm standing right in front of the camera. Yeah. And you notice that my shiny bald head is out of the way, right? You don't see the person at all. So just think about, even in a classroom scenario, right?
Right.
If the professor is standing right here writing stuff, if you're in the space, my back would be blocking it, right?
Yes, yes.
But on the far end, you can see that it's.
And Evan, isn't there a difference in what it would come across, whether you are on Zoom or Teams? Because Teams, you would still be able to see yourself. It would just be more of a ghosted image, right?
Well, actually, if you're using the Teams whiteboarding capabilities, you would see a ghosting image. But if you're using our whiteboarding, you don't see it at all. This is the same experience. So on Teams and Zoom would be the same experience.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. No, this
And
is great.
all the different colors you can see, it just appears cleanly, right? You don't see no shadows, you don't see no gloss. Like right now in the space, I can see all the lights are pretty much coming on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So you don't see that. And if I wave my hand in front of it, it just takes me out.
That's great, Evan. That's amazing. Good stuff. So just so I'm clear,
yeah,
that camera connects, like, would I need like a does that connect USB as well? Would I need like a USB switcher if I have multiple cameras in a room? Or how do I incorporate that into my design?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would have the front of room camera, like for example, the L1.
Yeah.
And what I have here is a Zoom room or a Teams room.
Okay.
And Zoom and Teams, the canvas is certified for both platforms, right?
Wow.
So as soon as I hit the share content, you can immediately select the Huddly canvas. The way you would connect it is simple. On the canvas, it comes with, the boom arm is connected to a transmitter.
Yeah.
That transmitter box, from there, it's an RJ45 cable, once again, 330 feet.
Yes.
It goes into a receiver box, right? And from there, it's a USB-B to a USB-A. So it's a simple USB 2.0 connection to your host computer. And we include all those items in that one box.
Oh, that's great, because I've found that it's been like hit or miss to get USB extended properly to and from its destination. So it's awesome that you guys are including the ability to get that USB signal wherever you need to get it, and you know that it works. So that's a huge plus. That's a huge plus. Wow. So that's great. I mean, so are those two like your flagship products that we're talking about at this point?
No, Kayla, you want to jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say when it comes to the flagship products, we're really looking at, I would say, IQ to begin. And then it would be, yes, going into more of the L1, S1 products. So IQ has been, gosh, I want to say they've been around since 2018. And what's really neat about the Huddly IQ is it's really it's super flexible, easy to use, and as I mentioned earlier, software upgradable. So with the IQ, before L1 and S1 came out, I would say you would see that in a lot of the conference rooms. I've also been on case study discussions with schools, and to hear how they've used these cameras, especially transitioning when COVID hit, and how creative they were able to get. But with the cameras being so flexible, they were in order to do so, it made it very easy. So the IQ, and this is something that we've been saying a lot lately, is you could have bought this camera back in 2018, and 3 or 4 years later, with the software updates, this camera from 2018 will now be able to receive gallery view, and these new features all being pushed through the Huddly app. So I think IQ is still one of our main products, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Of course, it's different because it's USB, so it's plug and play, compatible with really any video conferencing platform out there. Whereas S1 and L1 will be, a little bit more stationary, with it being a network camera. But both, are fantastic. So
and just to add to what Kayla said, you'll notice that people sometimes want to go with USB cameras. Sometimes they want to go with the networkable cameras. Now, because the processor between the two categories is completely different. The networkable cameras, the processor is much more powerful, which means we can bring in more experiences to the room, right? So you're going to see that as we bring in new experiences, you're going to see, okay, let's go with the L1 or let's go with the S1. But then if you want a simple room with few of the experience, you can still go to the USB camera, right? And we also get people asking, okay, is the USB cameras going away? No, it's not. It's going to stay as well. So we're giving both options.
Wow. And all of those are USB 2.0 or
Yeah. So the Canvas is 2.0.
Okay.
The IQ, which is for small to medium spaces, is a 3.0, but it works on 2.0 as well.
Okay.
The networkable cameras, the S1 and the L1, it is 3.0.
Nice, nice. No, this is great. So you guys have been speaking about the app. Can you just break down to our listeners and viewers what does the app do for us exactly?
Yeah. So the purpose of the app is if you want to update firmware, right? Like Kayla was talking about, as you go down the line, you might get a new experience, and the way you would update your cameras would be through the app, right?
Nice.
If you want to make any kind of manual adjustment, because we've seen even people, they don't want the Genius framing, right? So in those cases, you want to go with a manual framing. So you have controls to zoom in, tilt the camera, pan, all those features are within the app as well.
Wow.
And just to add to the icing on the cake, you can even get in touch with support directly from the app.
I love that. I love that. So if I'm in a conference room, I have the app. Does my phone need to be on the same network as the camera, or how am I communicating with
it is completely USB. So whichever computer your camera is connected to, that's it, right? But as long as you, like, let's say you want to update to a new firmware, you would have to open the app. Since your computer is connected to the internet, it is going to find that there is a new firmware that is out. You just hit install, update, boom.
Yeah, so it's not like a phone app, it's an app on
a computer. Oh yeah, when I say app, it's an application on the computer. Yes.
Understood. And is that app a Windows-based app, Mac, or both?
It works on both.
It works on both. Awesome. No, this is great stuff, man. You guys have covered all the bases here.
Yeah, man, we want to keep it as simple as possible, right?
Yes.
We want minimum user interaction. As soon as you plug it in, it's good to go, right?
Yeah. No, this is great. Now, is your product primarily for corporate, government, or is it mainly corporate and kind of educational applications at this time?
So really, all of the above.
Okay.
You can put our cameras anywhere. We, I want to say about a year ago, came out with 2 different programs, one for the education space, one for government. So we have something called Huddly Honor Roll, which is our education program, and then Huddly GDP, or government discount program, would be for government entities. So we have it set up to where you could, if you're an education institution or a government entity, you would have the chance to have up to 10% off MSRP. So we really just say to work with, whichever reseller partner or distributor to get your special price. Nice. But there's a couple benefits within those programs. So the 10% off would be one of them. We offer 50% off MSRP for demo purchase options, just a handful of different things. So absolutely, our products can go in both of those spaces as well as corporate. It's been really interesting to hear just different case studies that we've been doing lately, especially with schools. And as I mentioned earlier, seeing how they had to get creative when COVID happened and using IQs. I mean, Georgia Southern, they were down the path of making IQ their standard across all classrooms. And then as soon as L1 came out, they've decided to actually take a Huddly L1 camera and put it in the back of every single classroom, because it's able to, like Evan was just saying, check Genius framing off, so it stays in that wide angle view the entire time. So students that are taking classes from home or being remote, they're now able to see not just the teacher and the whiteboard, but the actual entire class. And if other students are raising hands or whatever, they're more part of that conversation and not feeling like an afterthought. Wow. So those programs are available. And I feel like I'm just rambling now, so I'm going to stop, and then you can take over.
That's great information.
I'm just like, it's such an easy question because you can literally put us wherever you want. So
no, that's really good information, because I can see, government end users needing this. I can see it in a classroom. I can see this in a lot of different applications. So no, this is really, really good. So what I know everything you've talked about today, to me, sounds like it should be like, a lot of money, right? Um, what's a price point for like the L1 for our listeners? Like, how much is this cost? This is an extremely expensive solution, because for the value that I'm seeing and the things that it kind of does, uh, it seems like it's worth a whole lot. How much does this thing cost?
So for the L1, you're looking at, I want to say
1600, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So-
That's a great number. That's a great number.
I mean, if you think about it, we are including the USB extender as well, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where people forget, because they're like,
affordable.
if you just have the camera, they want to go to a third-party extender. Your extenders are going to cost a lot. So we include everything and give it to you for 1600. Man, that's a steal, right?
That's a deal. That's a deal right there. Definitely.
Yep, 1680 is the MSRP for the L1.
Great.
You're looking at, with Canvas, it's going to run you about 1550. And then our newest one, Huddly S1, will be 1250.
That is nice. That is nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you could have this in your conference room, in your facility for pennies on the dollar. I mean, that's a very good price, and you get a lot of value. How's the support? What kind of warranty does it come with? Talk to me about after we purchase this. Like, what are we looking at for warranty and support?
Yeah, our products come with 3-year warranty right off the bat. Honestly, we pride ourselves in saying that the return rate or RMA is always less than 1%, significantly.
Nice.
We just really don't have a lot of these cameras having issues, which is a great thing, especially when they're being integrated in these rooms and installed.
Yeah.
Support is fantastic. Like Evan was saying, we have himself and Brandon, who is both pre and post sale support.
Great.
We also have a whole team over in Norway, so it's awesome.
Yeah. And we give out our numbers. So
Yeah. That's great, guys. That's great. So, we've all had a crazy time this past couple of years with the pandemic and the virus and all this stuff. How has that impacted you guys, and with over at Hudley? Has business slowed down? Has it increased? Because I know the need for cameras has actually picked up. So how has that worked out for you guys?
I would say when COVID hit in 2020, our Q2 and Q3 numbers, as I'm sure a lot of companies, just skyrocketed. And the main reason for that was because we had stock. We had stock when other, of our competition didn't. So I'm really excited to still, be able to say that that's still the case. We're constantly hearing that, competitors are running, I've heard literally 10 to 50 weeks of supply constraints, and we're not running into that issue. We have stock ready to go, available. So
that in itself is just a selling point.
I know, right? So that was one of the biggest things, was just having stock, and then really going back to how flexible these cameras are and being software upgradable. We were able to pivot, and we still are pivoting to what this new normal is supposed to look like and what it requires. Whether it's now talking about enabling equal equity in video meetings and creating gallery view, announcing our new feature speaker framing, which is, pretty much allowing a video conversation to feel as natural and engaging as those that take place in person. So, and it's not even, like I said, going back to if you have these cameras for a couple of years already, you're still going to be able to get those features pushed through. So I would say just to be able, to be flexible, and these cameras allow us to do that. So constantly changing, but in a good way.
That's great. That's awesome. So what are we looking at for the future for Hudley? Like, I know you might not be able to reveal too much because you got your secrets and everything, but like, what can we expect in the future moving forward? Maybe, a couple years down the road, what are you guys kind of looking into? Are you doing a lot of AI or holograms or metaverse stuff or any of that?
I mean, never say never, right?
Yeah.
We definitely, a lot of that is going to be AI based for sure.
Yes.
We see multiple cameras within a room. How do you switch between cameras will be a great experience. Like, imagine this space where I'm at. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Yeah.
So if you have a shared space where you have multiple participants sitting in that room, you're going to see that, you know, when somebody speaks and is talking to a person, the camera should automatically understand where to switch, right?
Yes.
How cool would it be that the second camera identifies that person and just switches to that person, right? So if I'm sitting here, I'm looking in this direction, the camera over there is going to pick up on me and not the front camera. So there's a lot of experiences you can play with because we have visual feed. So you can get from the video, you can get, you know, information or data to add towards an experience. And with like Kayla was talking about speaker framing, that is based on the voice because our cameras, the L1 and the S1 has integrated mics so that it will know exactly where I'm located within the space, right? So imagine you can get the audio aspect and the video aspect and then combine them together to do some crazy experiences.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, there's a lot of talks going on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, get ready for it.
All exciting stuff.
This is great. Wow, this has been a great conversation, guys. How do we get in touch with you? Tell the listeners and viewers, how do we get a hold of Hudley? What do we do to kind of, you know, get the product in our hands? You know, give the folks your access and your contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super easy. You could just email us at ussales@hudley.com.
Yeah.
And we have a couple people on the team that monitor that email 24/7 pretty much, and they can definitely get you to the right person and team. So just ussales@hudley.com.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, this has been a great conversation. You guys are very knowledgeable people. Hudley is definitely blessed to have folks like you on their staff. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, they really are. And I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate your time. And thank you guys for coming on AV Experts Podcast. And we got to have you back when you get some more products to do more AI stuff. We have you guys come on back to talk about that as well.
We would love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah. Thank you guys. And you guys have a great day.
You too. Take care.